And now, Lifestyles Unlimited presents the Real Estate Investor Radio Show. Over the next hour, we unfold your map to financial freedom. You'll learn how to retire through investing in single-family and multifamily real estate. You'll learn how to create cash flow and build wealth so you can have the time and money to live the lifestyle you want.
Welcome to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. I'm Mike Harrison, and as always, we're working on your financial freedom. I want to thank you for joining us today. All right, on today's show, I have first-time lead investors, Jill and Corey Carrin. And what I really want to talk about, and we're going to get into it as we unfold this show, is what it takes to become a lead investor, the challenges along the way. And for you listeners out there, what is a lead investor? Well, a lead investor is really, it's a syndicator. That's how you would know that term outside of Lifestyles Unlimited. But a syndicator that will go out, identify a multifamily property, a business, put together a business plan and everything that's involved in that plan. And here's the property. Here's our plans for it. Here's how we're going to make it a safe, clean, functional place to live. Here's our plans for upgrading the units. Here's how we're going to manage the property. And here's the returns that we expect on this business, right? On this business plan. And as lead investors, they will offer that to their passive investors that are out there, that are on their passive list, people that they have relationships with. And they will say, if you like this plan, we invite you to invest with us in this property. And then they'll go purchase the property and do everything that they said they were going to do in the business plan, and then keep passive investors updated along the way. So, Jill and Corey, I really appreciate y'all coming on. I have a lot of lead investors on, but rarely do I have a first-time lead. And so we'll get into maybe some of the nuances of being that first-time lead. I want to thank y'all for coming on.
Well, yes, thank you, Michael. We're happy to be on, and hopefully we can share our journey and it'll inspire some other people.
Excellent. Well, why don't you give us a little bit of background about yourselves, and then we'll unpeel from there.
All right, Corey, do you want to start?
Sure. So I came up through the civil engineering world, doing land development work. About 13 years ago, switched over to the contractor side, and now own 3 businesses doing civil type work. So always been around construction. Grew up with a stepdad that was a home builder, an architect. So I always knew real estate was something that I wanted to be involved in. And then when I met Jill, she was a real estate agent, so I knew it was a match made in heaven.
There it is. Okay, yeah, perfect. So, y'all were pretty much born to be lead investors before you even realized that, huh?
I think so. Definitely a passion of ours.
When did y'all join Lifestyles Unlimited?
So we joined in August of 2019. Corey had been listening to Dell on the radio on his commute to work frequently, and he came home one time. He's like, hey, we need to go, explore this and see what it is. And, I looked up the website. I'm like, I don't know. Is this, just like another one of those types of businesses? But he convinced me to go, and we actually were lucky enough to go to Dell's last 2 days that he did before he went into retirement. So, he's always entertaining and just super educational. After the first day, we're like, yep, this is it. This is the map we've been looking for multifamily. So we signed up.
I sent it to her. She had been working in the corporate world because in 2008, things weren't going great here. So she moved away from the real estate side, went to the corporate world. Actually, what do you call the world you were working in, Jill?
Nonprofit.
Nonprofit. Go. Yeah. And so she got kind of burnt out on that and was home taking care of the kids and had gotten a real estate agent license back active and was doing that stuff and was looking for something more. She just, I need something a little more fulfilling.
Yeah.
Something that's going to advance us to the next level. And I kept listening to Dell on the radio, and I'm like, man, this sounds legit. I've always I thought I was going to flip houses and have rentals, and this guy's on the radio telling me that I can do multifamily, and like only rich people do multifamily. Like you got to be super wealthy to do that. Who is this guy?
Yeah.
And so I sent Jill the website, and I'm like, hey, go check this website out. And she come home, I'm like, hey, did you check it out? I'm all excited. She's like, yeah, it's another one of them get-rich-quick scheme deals. I don't think that's for us.
Right.
And so I got to talking to one of my business colleagues who works for a general contractor, and he's telling me he's investing in multifamily, and I'm like, how are you doing that? And he's like, he was hesitant to tell me. He's like, it's just lifestyles things. And I said, Lifestyles Limited? And then he got excited. He's like, yeah, Lifestyles Unlimited, you know about it. And I'm like, well, I've been listening to Dell and da-da-da. And he's like, that's legit. You got to go check it out. So I went to one of the little entry deals on like a Tuesday night, and John Pryor was given the spiel, and it got to the end of that deal, and I walked to the back of the room and I signed up for the 2-day. And I get home and I'm like, okay, Joe, this is legit. Like this is real people doing real stuff. We can go somewhere with this, and we're going to go learn how to do single family rentals. And she's like, okay. And it took us a month or two to figure out how to maneuver the kids so we could go be gone Saturday and Sunday all day. We made it happen. At the end of the first day, we're like, we'd bought a rental house before we went. We got there and like, man, we totally messed that whole rental house deal up. Well, we did everything wrong. We got a purple Martian in there, and it's just awful. It's terrible. What did we do? And okay, we've got to join this thing to figure it out, and we're going to go do this single-family rental. By noon on Sunday, Jill is like, did you bring your checkbook? Because we're doing multifamily.
Wow. I'm Mike Harrison. September 8th is a very special date for us here at Lifestyles Unlimited. It is our anniversary. 32 years we've been in business. For 32 years we've been educating and teaching people how to retire with cash flowing real estate, one piece at a time, how to buy your life back. Well, September 8th, we're going to celebrate by inviting you, the listener, to our case study. You do not need to be a member of Lifestyles Unlimited to attend. This is your opportunity to see what we do. Real life people telling their stories, telling how they invested in properties, the numbers, everything is shared. You can find information at lucasestudy.com, lucasestudy.com. And as a special treat, our founder, Dell Walmsley, will be speaking at this case study. So again, if you go to lucasestudy.com, you don't have to be a member. Normally, this is a member-only event, and then you can get your link to essentially attend, or if you're in the Houston area, you should attend in person. But again, that's lucasestudy.com. On today's show, I have Jill and Corey Coffrin, and they are first-time lead investors, and we're talking about how they found Lifestyles Unlimited. They decided to change their life. It changed their investment path and essentially begin buying multifamily properties. And they did just that. So, Corey, when we left off, you had told us that you had purchased a rent house prior to attending our 2-day financial freedom seminar. Was that rent house prior to joining Lifestyles, or did you join Lifestyles and you were so excited you went out and bought your first rental property?
No, it was prior to joining Lifestyles. It was something Jill and I had been talking about, whether it was to get another flip house. We've done a couple of flip houses without much success.
Yeah.
The current house we're in was supposed to be a flip house. We never moved out of it. So
we had twins.
We had twins, filled all the bedrooms, and we're like, okay, we're staying. But so Jill, through social media and having her real estate license, found a house. It was a great opportunity, and we bought it, and it was prior to joining Lifestyles. So, we thought we'd done everything right until we went to the 2-day and realized we'd done everything wrong.
I had a very similar experience. I purchased a rent house prior to Lifestyles Unlimited because I knew I needed to do something different, and I was tired of getting cleaned out every time the stock market had a quote-unquote correction, and I hate that word because correction means something's wrong. But anyway, I went through 2 of those, and I said, this is ridiculous. I'm done. And I struggled with my first property as well, and then finally found Lifestyles Unlimited. And yeah, you're sitting in that class and you're going, good grief, why didn't I think of this or that or what have you? And it's all handed to you.
It becomes so obvious.
Yes. I mean, you're there and you're like, good. I can't believe that. In fact, I didn't even know you could make money 5 ways on a property. I thought you only made it one way, and that's essentially a little extra from the rent goes to you each and every month. And I was doing that wrong. So, yeah, that 2-day financial freedom seminar is eye-opening. Now, I love the fact that y'all attended together the first time. I didn't have that advantage either. My wife initially wanted nothing to do with real estate. So you're in the 2-day, and Jill, it was your decision to say, forget single-family properties, let's go multifamily, or how'd that come about?
Yep, essentially the second day in the 2-day, I mean, it just all clicked and made sense. So I'm like, Corey, there's no reason we can't do multifamily. So, I mean, we started out initially, just doing the passive multifamily investing. I think we ended up getting into about 11 different deals, which puts us at like 2,400 doors. So, that part is easy. I mean, you just give your money to the leads and, they do all the work, and we just collect the paycheck in the bank account. So, the passive was wonderful and seemed easy. And then I'm like, well, what else can we do? And then that's when, we started looking into becoming leads.
All right, so that's when you grabbed the tiger by the tail and said, oh, we can do lead, because being a passive really is easy. I mean, it's you review a plan, you essentially, if you enjoy the lead investors and you like how they think and you like their background and you feel like they're good people to lead a business and they have the skills to lead that business, literally you write them a check and then you just collect the money when it comes in quarterly. So yeah, being a passive is easy. Being a lead, I don't think is it gets easier as you go, but there's a lot to it. So what did you have to do first to get when y'all made the decision to become leads? Tell me about your path from there. What did you do? What did you have to do to get that all put together?
So, I mean, we knew that if we wanted to retire Corey, next 3-5 years, that we would have to take the deep dive and get hands-on experience being leads. So, I mean, it initially starts out with a lot of coursework. You have to become educated, understand the white paper rules, make sure, you understand all the legalities of doing a syndication. So, I mean, that took a little bit of time, but I was just super excited about it and focused in. And I think it took me probably maybe like 5 months to get through all the coursework to become certified. And then from there, you just start networking, talking with other leads, meeting with them, learning, from their firsthand experience what we need to do. And then, just start developing your list of passive investors, which, was challenging at the time because it was, I think right before COVID hit, if I remember correctly. And, we had been meeting people in all the meetings, passing out cards, and then COVID hit and everything kind of shut down. So luckily, Lifestyles created an online platform where, we could start communicating with passives and they could contact us if they were interested in a deal or wanted to get on our list.
You mentioned the coursework involved in becoming a lead. Corey, was there anything in that coursework that was over challenging or something that you did not have experience in, or what are your thoughts on that?
I have to defer to Jill on that because she's the one that did all of the coursework for the lead stuff. I have not completed my lead coursework. Jill is the lead, and she's the one that runs the whole show.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Jill,
there really wasn't anything, out of the norm. I mean, just understanding how to do a syndication and understanding, what it means, the responsibility, the fiduciary, relationship you have with passive investors. I mean, that was the primary part that, I hadn't been familiar with in the past.
How many properties did you look at before you found your first property? Or how many did you, analyze with the our analysis spreadsheet that we use before you found that one?
There's quite a few. I don't remember the exact number, but I mean, initially, we were looking around DFW because that's where we live. So we analyzed, I would say, probably at least 15, 16 properties around DFW. And then an opportunity presented itself in San Angelo, which is 4 hours from our home. So I'm like, how on earth are we going to do that? But we came down here and the property made sense. It underwrote beautifully, and I'm just like, I don't know how we're going to do it, but everything makes sense about this property, so San Angelo it is.
Excellent. So you weren't afraid of the distance you had to cover between where you live and San Angelo. And we'll pick it up on that side, Jill. They're pushing us out on a break. My name is Mike Harrison. You're listening to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show.
Got questions? Call Lifestyles Unlimited at 855-497-4335. The Real Estate Investor Radio Show continues next.
Stop waiting. Stop sitting around. Stop procrastinating. This is your time. Make it happen. Do it now. When's the best time? Now. People go, well, I don't know. It's gonna crash. It's gonna be better next year. I've got to listen to 4 more classes. I love guys come up to me all the time. I've been listening to you on the radio for 8 years now, right? I go, and you're not rich yet? Well, really, I'm thinking about joining next month. Do it now.
Learn the skills you need to retire with real estate in 5 years or less. Do it now. Register for the Lifestyles Unlimited free online workshop, lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com.
Welcome back to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show, where, as always, we're working on your financial freedom. I'm Mike Harrison. If you have any questions about real estate investing, about Lifestyles Unlimited, about how to get started, about our case study, our 32nd anniversary case study that's coming up September 8th, please send me an email. My email address is askmike@luinc.com, and I do respond personally to each and every email I get. And if you miss any parts of this show, you can always find us on your favorite podcast app. Go to your podcast app, type in Lifestyles Unlimited. You'll find the show there. Subscribe to it. It automatically uploads. You can listen to it in your free time. You can listen to it when you're driving, working in the yard, what have you. That's how I do it. We also have our own YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, type in Lifestyles Unlimited. Ton of information there. And as always, you can find us on our website, lifestylesunlimited.com. I have 2 guests on the show today, lead investors, Jill and Corey Coffrin. And Jill has a real estate background. Corey has a construction background. Ding, ding. They were perfect. They were born to be lead investors. They just didn't even know that at the time. They found Lifestyles Unlimited and did just that, became lead investors. So, Jill, when we left off, you found the property that was perfect, that the math made sense, the analysis made sense. One problem, it's 4 hours from where you live. How did you manage that process? Because when you first buy that property, there's so much that you need to do to essentially fulfill your business plan, correct?
That is correct. Yes, that is. So, I mean, it definitely requires sacrifice, time away from family. But, I mean, when you have a project you're excited about and you know you have to succeed at it, you just do what you got to do to make it happen. So I've spent a lot of time in San Angelo. I've gotten to know it pretty well.
I bet you do. And for you listener out there, I want you to hear what Jill said. Being a lead investor is a job. It's a full-time job. You're doing everything. You buy the apartment community, you manage the apartment community, you handle the accounting of the apartment community, you handle the accounting of the company that owns the apartment community. You have to prepare reports for your passive investors. What am I leaving out there, Jill? What else?
That pretty much covers it. I mean, you never know. I mean, we started out originally with a third-party property management company, but we ended up parting ways with them right before Christmas. And I went ahead and took over the full-time property management. And I mean, you never know what you're going to get. I get phone calls, in the middle of the night saying, "Hey, my HVAC's broken. Can you come fix it?"
Yeah.
You just never know. Every day is a new day.
Yeah, and an eye-opener. So what were some unexpected challenges that arose during this property or maybe some surprises? There's always something.
The biggest challenge, I'm going to jump in on this one. The biggest challenge for us on this property, because it was CapEx and it was so far away from us, was finding a contractor that we could trust and that we could rely on and we knew was getting the work done. To me, that was the biggest challenge. Once we got that figured out, everything kind of started to smooth out a little bit. But it was choppy waters there on the front side getting that figured out.
Yeah, especially through the labor issues that we're having for the last 2 years. I can imagine that was an incredible hurdle. So, Corey, share with us, why'd you need a contractor?
Well, in our flip houses, I did all of it myself, but I do have a full-time job, and I wasn't able to do that. So ours is a 22-unit complex, and half of them had been rehabbed. The other half had not. It's weird because they wouldn't even say they were classic units. There have been some rehab over the years, but never fully brought up to date for any one period. It looked like something that was mixed from the 70s, 80s, and 90s in some of them. It was pretty interesting on the inside. So we went in and the lifestyles model, best product, best price, and new floors, new tile in the bathrooms. We refinished, I think, all of the bathtubs. We talked about replacing a couple, but we ended up just refinishing those in place. New bathroom vanities, new fixtures in the bathroom, new toilets and bathrooms, low flow toilets, lots of paint, and at least half. How many HVAC units out of the 22 did we replace, Jill?
I think we did 12 HVACs, and then we also had the Federal Pacific stab locks and aluminum wiring that we had to address and replace. So that was a learning experience, but we got those replaced.
Quite a bit of work. And for the listener, again, I want you to hear what we're talking about here. We bought a property, and we're not slumlords. We're fixing everything in that property. 12 AC units or 11 or 12 AC units, new flooring, refinishing the tub. How much did you spend, or how much was invested on the upgrades with the property, Jill?
So our CapEx was about $300,000, and it covered all of that, including landscaping, and we have old pipes, so we had to address that. It was a sizable chunk, but the property needed it, and the residents are just ecstatic to see the improvements.
There it is. So they're happier. You went in, you bought a property, you spent $300,000, and that's counterintuitive to a lot of people that they don't do that. Those are the people that give property owners. Those are the people that are landlords, right? We're not landlords at Lifestyles Unlimited. We're property owners, and we make it safe, clean, functional, nice place to live. And as Jill said, the residents are happier. They're much happier, and they're going to stay longer, because when they stay longer, that makes the property more profitable. So also, Jill, I want to go into something. You thought outside the box on leasing this property, on getting all the units filled, and tell us some of the things that you did to attract people or get people into the property.
Well, luckily the property is in a prime location. It's less than a mile from the Riverwalk area, which is popular downtown. It's also right next to Shannon Medical Center. So one thing that I was noticing in the marketing is, I kept having all these travel nurses saying, "Hey, do you offer temporary leases? Do you offer temporary leases?" And I'm just like, we can't really do that. We've been trained to only take annual leases. But then I started talking with them, and what they were looking for is kind of like the Airbnb fully furnished units. So once I figured that out, I'm like, well, let's do a test one. So I went ahead and furnished a unit for them, and, it was a substantial monthly rental rate, and we had nonstop traffic on our fully furnished. So that just kind of happened naturally just by the leads that were coming in and what the people needed.
Okay, so essentially a furnished unit, and you've got folks from the hospital that are renting that unit at a higher rate. Did you have to purchase the furniture? Or are you renting the furniture? What's that look like?
So that was a bit of a learning lesson. The first three, I only have 3 fully furnished right now, but we did go ahead and purchase all of the furniture ourselves, and I came down and furnished the units, decorated them, make sure that they were stocked. But we did have a bit of a learning lesson on that. I had somebody sneak in a pit bull on one of the fully furnished units, and the dog kind of destroyed the furniture.
Oh.
And, yeah, that wasn't a good day. But I later discovered that there is a local rental furniture company nearby. So when I had additional nurses ask, if they could have a fully furnished unit, I just called the furniture rental place, and I'm like, hey, can we rent furniture, for 3 to 6 months? And they come deliver it for free and take it away. And, it just has really flowed nicely.
People are crazy. To put a pit bull in a fully furnished unit, I don't know where the idea, and this is a nurse, obviously, so you think this person's rather intelligent, but, hey, I'm going to sneak a pit bull in here. What could possibly go wrong, right?
You never know what you're going to find. You never know.
So we have gotten some outside of the nursing industry, people coming in looking for fully furnished units.
I have lead investors on the show, Jill and Corey, and they're telling us about a property that they found in San Angelo, Texas. They purchased that property, and we're just actually talking about some of the challenges that they've had. So, Jill, tell me about management. You initially mentioned you had third-party management in there, and now you're the manager. Is it taking a lot of time, or what are a lot of challenges with that?
Yeah, so we did have a third-party manager. We parted ways a little bit before Christmas. Honestly, it was probably the scariest moment of this entire journey because I was like, how am I going to have the time to do this? Do I know enough? Do I know what I'm doing? Can I figure this out? We had to set up our own resident system software and all of the programs associated with it. We had to find an accountant. There was just a lot of things that I didn't have previous knowledge of. So I just, thank God for the LU community because, we had a lot of resources and people that we could talk to. One in particular, he spent hours just helping me set up our resident and, answer any questions I had as far as property management. It's just been an amazing resource to have those people, and they're all so willing to help.
We did not know him. We had no connection to him prior to all of this happening. They have a lead mastermind once a month. I sat in the lead mastermind and was kind of asking questions of the other leads in there. And this other lead, as soon as the meeting is over, he grabs me in the hall and he's like, I need to help you. I need to help you. And introduced himself. And he said, have your wife call me. I said, well, my wife's type B. She's not going to talk to you unless you call her. So he said, well, give me your phone number.
Yeah.
And so he called her the next day and just had been a godsend to us because we're first-time leads. We've never managed multifamily property before. We did not know what we were doing. And, the switch in management was kind of a mutual decision, but I would say that we weren't quite ready for it to happen, but our management company was, which is why the Christmas date was so bad. It was like, man, I can't believe y'all did this to us at Christmas time. So having those other leads to reach out to and the fact that they were there just openly and willing to step in and help us was, if we hadn't been in Lifestyles, I don't know what we would have done. We'd have probably both been in the corner, balled up, shaking, crying.
Yeah, it's true. Nobody cares about your property as much as you do. So, as scary as it was and, as stressful as it was on our family, I'm looking back, I'm grateful that it all happened because, I feel like I'm able to, take care of everything. Take care of the residents the right way. And, it's a great feeling when you have it all together and it's clicking and it's working. So it was the best thing that could have happened.
Yeah, I can imagine it's much smoother now that you've had the property for some time and you've been able to, 1, fix everything, 2, fix the management, fix the accounting. And speaking of that, how amazing is it that, and that's one of my favorite things about Lifestyles Unlimited, is that we do share, we do help. If somebody needs help,
Yes.
we can ask this person or ask that person, or someone will put us in touch with somebody, and it just makes us 10 times more effective than that person. Like when you bought your rent house, you didn't know what you were doing, and even worse, you didn't know what you didn't know, right?
Exactly.
I've been there. I have been there. How did y'all determine what size of property to pursue? When you first started, you said, okay, we're going to be leads, and obviously it's going to take money to buy a property. So how'd you come up with, I guess, the number that you can spend, and then you've got to fit the property into that box?
Well, that's a great question. Initially, when you're a first-time lead, you're like, okay, I want to start with something really small because I don't know what I'm doing and I can manage it because it's really small. So, the 22 units, it seemed like a great fit because, it was our first property. In retrospect, I would say that is probably not the wisest decision. I think that you have to look at the economy of scales, and, anything over 100 units is probably a better choice because, you have the financials to have on-site leasing agents and maintenance crews. Whereas, with a 22 unit, it's, there's not a lot of people that want to tackle that. It's not a big enough job for them.
And I will tell you that depends on how close you are to the property, too. The property being 4 hours away from us made the 22 unit not good. If it would have been a 22 unit 4 minutes from us, it's a lot easier. Joe can be right there, especially when we're self-managing. And even through the CapEx is difficult to get through third-party management, in my opinion, based on our experience. It's better to have that where you can manage that yourself on such a small number of units, because 22 units, you get 2 units vacated that are vacant. That's a big deal. Your NOI drops significantly. And at one point, we had, I think, 6 units that were vacant, and Joe's freaking out. Like, she did not sleep hardly at all. And I spent a lot of time down there making sure that these units came back online and got rented out immediately, because, we're liable to our investors to make sure that NOI doesn't fall down where the property can't support itself. And also the banks have a vacancy requirement too. You don't want to drop below that vacancy requirement for the banks. Well, again, 6 vacancies doesn't sound like much, and it's not if you have 100 units. If you have 22, it's a quarter of your business.
Yeah, that's a big chunk, and then you're not cash flowing, and then everything could go south in a hurry when you have that size of vacancy again on that particular asset. So that would be a little nerve-wracking. I can see that. Now, some banks, and this is counterintuitive in my mind, they require that third-party management in the deal initially until, I guess, you can prove yourself. Is there a time period? Was that part of the financing size with y'all?
Initially, yes. They wanted to see, that we had a third-party management company. Our lending situation is kind of a story all on its own. We started out with we were going to close with a different lender, and then they pulled out right before closing last minute. So then we had to contact other lenders, and we found just a local bank that loans in tertiary markets like San Angelo. Yeah. So they are a little bit less strict on those things. And I talked to them like, hey, here's the situation. I'm going to have to take over property management. And they were fantastic. They're like, hey, as long as your numbers are good, you do what you need to do, no problem at all. So we're lucky that we had just a local bank versus, like a Fannie or Freddie that may have looked differently at that.
Okay. And that's a huge challenge in the multifamily side, Michael. It's you don't have any experience managing multifamily properties. The banks want somebody with experience. They want a third-party management. But I can tell you, we will be so much better in the future properties that we purchase. We didn't even know the right questions to ask our third-party property management company when we got started. We were just kind of along for, okay. And then as we got going with them, like, why aren't they doing this? Why aren't they doing this? Well, what's going on with that? And now we will know what those things are.
Right.
Jill will know exactly what to look for if we ever have to hire a third-party property manager again. It's so much more educated now by running the property herself and self-managing. It's learning by drinking through a fire hose, but at the end of the day, the experience that you're going to have, the knowledge that you're going to have when it comes to dealing even with a third-party property management is invaluable.
Right, and I'm sure your plan, you don't want to do this just once. You cut your teeth on the 22 unit. So what's next? What's the plan going forward?
So, yeah, we've definitely started looking for our second acquisition. Definitely going to be over 100 units. So
All right.
That's on our target list. We're looking primarily in the DFW area just so that we can be closer to the property. We're, have our eye a little bit on the second San Angelo property because it would make sense since we're already here and managing.
Correct.
But I think our next one is definitely going to be much larger.
Yeah, and it should be. And again, for the listener out there, as the properties are bigger, they get easier, provided you have that background, that education, and you do know what you're doing. Because I couldn't imagine biting off a 100-unit as my first one. So, Jill and Corey, I want to thank you for coming on the show today. I really appreciate you taking the time. For you listeners out there, I want you to understand it's not the money, it's the lifestyle. My name's Mike Harrison. I'll see you next week.
The information and opinions you hear on the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show are those of the hosts, guests, and callers. The Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.